Hi everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Thursday night, and every other Thursday night I jump on and do a technique for you. And so tonight the technique is using Versamark as a way of kind of creating tone on tone. There's all sorts of ways you use Versamark, but I wanted to show you how you can actually stamp with Versamark using your stamps, and it works great if you don't have the color of cardstock or the color of ink that you actually want. So I'll talk about some other uses for Versamark as well. I'm using the new Watercolor World stamp, which is a background stamp. I love this stamp. There's so many ways to use this, and using Versamark is just one of those ways that you can use this stamp. So hopefully people are joining. I see a few people on. Let me know where you're coming from. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, you're coming in through YouTube and you haven't subscribed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you'll get notified when I go live. Hey, Lynette. Oh, yes, I can see. Great. Yes, it does like you today. That's if you come in through my Facebook, I believe it's through my Facebook group. If you haven't given StreamYard permission, or every once in a while given it StreamYard permission or Facebook permission, it won't share your name. And so I can't actually see. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Darlene. Welcome. All right. I'm going to switch over to my desktop and we will get started. So this is the Watercolor World stamp. It is a background stamp. So the image this is showing 85%. So it is really intended to cover a quarter of a sheet or close to a quarter of a sheet of cardstock. You can fit it on, well, I'm using, let's see, I'm using a little bit narrower, but it is 5 1/4. So it really does just fit pretty close edge to edge. Hopefully I haven't cut off too many countries. So this, like I said, there's lots of ways you can use this. You can color. I've seen some really amazing cards where they've used different colors, so blending brushes and all sorts of things. Okay, so the other thing that I am using are these new amazing can't get it right. I want to say elephant. Alphabet a la mode dies. So these are a new set of alphabet dies, and they have numbers and punctuation. This is only one sheet. There are 2 sheets of them. They are about an inch, just under an inch and a half tall, and only half an inch or 5/8 of an inch wide. So they're really nice and narrow, and you can fit some fairly large words across a card. And if you make a slimline card, you can fit even more. So I'm using the word hello on mine today. Okay, so when I use a background stamp, I always use my Stamparatus. So even when I don't have a broken hand or a broken wrist, I tend to use my Stamparatus because I just can't handle the largest size block. It's just too awkward. So even when I use that large size block, I lay it down flat with the rubber up, the image up, and lay my paper on the top of it. And it just works better for me that way. So I have already put my what's the OE. I think in some languages, Dawn, OE, maybe Latin, there's certain, they spell it that way. Maybe in the UK, they spell things with an OE. Seems to me, if I remember back to my pharmacy days, things like esophagus and some words are spelled OE. So it covers all languages, basically. All right, so I've got my stamp here. Now, my card is going to be black. So I've got a black piece of black cardstock that's 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. And then I've got a piece of Bermuda Bay, hello Peg, that is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then my piece of Coastal Cabana is 5 1/4 by, and I think it's 5 1/4 by 4, but I am going to trim it because once I stamp it, it's going to be, I just don't like the look of having so much space, and you'll see that in just a minute. Okay, so Versamark. if you could find a Versamark pad, you'd be doing really good. There it is. I lost my Versamark pad. Here it is. Okay, so Versamark is, they call it a watermark stamp pad. It's really glue. And so typically you use Versamark when you're going to use embossing powder. So you ink up with the Versamark and then you sprinkle over the embossing powder and then you heat your embossing powder to melt. You also use it with heat and stick powder. So if you're going to use glitter or, hey Betty, glitter or the gilded leafing, or yeah, mostly that, you use this and then you sprinkle over your heat and stick powder, heat that up. Hey Kathleen. And then it's sticky so that you can apply the gilded leafing or the glitter and it sticks to it. You can also use this as a background, like to ink up your stamp, and then it looks like you've stamped. So in the case of the Coastal Cabana, it's going to look like I've stamped in Coastal Cabana. So it's a great way if you don't have all of the ink pads and you want to get a tone on tone effect. You can use Versamark. So it won't work, of course, if you ink something up and stamp it on basic white, because you're not going to see it. But if you stamp it on say Coastal Cabana or Bermuda Bay or, balmy blue or any color that's, that you can see a stamped image on, it will actually look like you've stamped it with the color. So, which is really cool if you don't have all of the ink pads. So I'm going to take, hey Inga, welcome. I'm going to take and ink this up. Again, I use my Stamparatus just because I can't handle the really big block. Now there's two ways I can do this. I can take and put I've tried to get the world kind of so that the countries are facing the right way. So I'm just going to take and put that down and rub it on. And then hopefully it's sticky enough so that when I press it down on there, it will stay, and it did. Okay, so I use a little jar that I bought, hey Catherine, at the dollar store, and I put a little pad, one of those upholstery pads that you put underneath furniture, on the top. It has a peel and stick adhesive, and I use that to apply pressure, particularly close to the hinge. I find you have to apply a little bit more pressure. At least with my Stamparatus, I pay particular attention to those areas. Okay, now it is quite faint, and the kind of stickier your Versamark is, kind of the fresher it is, the darker it will appear. But you can see how it looks like I really stamped the Coastal Cabana. Now, I'm going to trim this off. I'm going to trim just 1/4 of an inch off the top of this, or I'm going to trim 1/4 of an inch off. I may take a little bit off the top and a little bit off the bottom because I've got a little bit more space. So I'm going to start with maybe 1/8 of an inch off the bottom. See how I do. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to trim just a touch more. I'm trying to make this piece of cardstock be 3 3/4 by 5 1/4, basically. There we go. Okay. Because I want a little bit of Bermuda Bay to show on the top. Now, I've got sometimes your trimmer will give a little bit of a ridge. So just take your bone folder and run it over the edge, and that will kind of push those fibers back in line. Sometimes that's because your blades are not quite sharp enough, and sometimes I find it's because you end up with just you're trying to cut just a tiny little piece off, which is what I was trying to do there. So this is Bermuda Bay that was 4 inches by 5 1/4, and so I'm just using it to just give a little bit of different color behind it. Catherine. Yeah, I love Versamark. Lots of different ways to use Versamark. All right. So I'm just going to try and get it even. And hopefully I didn't cut any countries off. It's hard. This just really barely fits on this size of cardstock. And so I probably cut some of the Aleutian Islands off, and maybe I cut little pieces of some of the islands and a little bit of New Zealand and whatever these islands in the South Pacific are. Okay, so that's kind of the card front. Now, my basic black was 5.5 by 8.5, so we're going to score it. Oops, score it, not cut it. Score it at 4.25. And as always, fold into the raised line or the mountain and use your bone folder. And then this piece can go on. Isn't the Bermuda Bay and black? I just find it's just quite stunning. Okay. So that is the start of our card front. I guess I could have done a little bit better job of getting that aligned. Oh well. Okay, now the letters. I'm going to put hello across the top or across my world. So I have pulled out the H, the E, and what I love is these letters are narrow enough to go right close side by side, and there are multiple letters. So there are 2 L's, there are 2 O's, there might even be 2 E's. So for some of the letters that we, are common in words, and I'm not worrying about these being straight on here because I'm cutting them out. And I'm going to peel them out and peel the letters off and stick them. So I'm putting hello. Now behind here, if I take this, anyway, I've got a piece of adhesive foam sheets that I have just stuck to the back of my card stock. And that's going to pop up these letters. And they cut out easily with even this the adhesive foam sheets. Now I'm just going to move that out of the way. I'm bringing in my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, my new boho blue one. So cool, love it. So you can get one of these if you're not a demonstrator already and you sign up. You can get one of these as an option. So I do find that you don't have to run this through. I was going to say you need to run it through twice. You do not. Run it through once and you will have it cut out. I tend to run it through twice. Sorry, I struggle a little bit with my hand. I tend to run it through twice only because I want to cut right through the backing on the adhesive foam sheet. It just makes it easier to pull the letters off. So I tend to run, you can see the O came right off. I tend to run it through twice. Once will work, twice is better. Okay, so there's the letters. So these ones are pulling out, but oh, the H is kind of pulling out. There we go. Okay. So we're going to put hello across the middle. So I'm going to start, let's see, the L is the middle. So let's start with the L. So I'm just pulling that out and I'm just going to put that kind of roughly in the middle. And I'm not pressing it down for the moment. I'm going to wait until I kind of get them all in place before I press down, just so that if I haven't got them completely straight, I can fix them. Get the middle out of that one. I can kind of move them around because I have a feeling I haven't got them very straight on here. So one of the things that you can do is take a ruler and just get it lined up, and then you can use the bottom of the ruler as your guide, like that. Because I think I was going crooked. I'm still going crooked. All right. And then that one. All right, and the E. I love alphabet dies. I'm always happy when we have some alphabet dies. They're just so fun to play with, especially these popped up ones with this adhesive foam strips. Okay, there we go. And then that can just kind of, you can use your take your pick tool to just kind of adjust, because sometimes they go a little crooked. There we go. Okay, I think that's fairly straight. It doesn't look, this L looks a little lopsided to me. So I'm just going to kind of shift it. That's why I don't press down on it until I get them mostly on. Okay, I'm gonna say that straight. So there's my kind of hello. So this would be a really cool baby card. You could put welcome and then a baby. Would be a fun thing to do. And for the last thing I'm going to do is, these are the iridescent pastel gems, and they come in 3 colors, kind of a clear pinky one, a blue, and then the calypso coral. So I'm going to use the blue color and just put some of these on. So let's see. There we go. Now, I did cut a piece of basic white cardstock. I actually don't know what I'm going to put on the inside of this. So I'm just going to, this is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4. So I'm just going to put this on the inside of the card, and I'll figure out what I'm going to put on the inside of the card later. But at least I've got the inside of the card done, so that I won't take me long to write a sentiment or just do another stamp. Okay, so there you go. I love this watercolor world stamp, and I love any kind of background stamps, and then the dies are pretty amazing. So again, hey Johanna. Oh, that would be a good idea. Yeah, baby could go in the middle. Yeah. Thanks, Darlene. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you feel like, if you're on Facebook and you're able to share my video out, I'd love for you to share it. If you're on YouTube and you could like it, give me a thumbs up. I'd love for that to happen. Oh, Johanna, you got it today. Great. Yeah, it's really fun to play with. These alphabet dies are really nice. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining me. Now, I will not be live on Saturday because we have our virtual launch from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific in a Facebook group. So I'm excited about that. So many of you are joining me and Diane Evans for our launch. So I will not be live on Saturday, and I will not be doing my Stampin' Chat if you typically join me for Stampin' Chat on Saturday nights. I will be live on Sunday, a little earlier than normal. My sister and brother-in-law arrived finally for Christmas. We weren't able to see them at Christmas time because of the weather, and so they are arriving on Sunday for a visit. So next week's going to be a little bit of a disjointed week. I will be live on Sunday, probably around 9:30 or so, because I think they arrive about 11. And then the rest of the week I will not be live and will not have my Zoom class, but I will be posting a sketch challenge for you and also a mystery challenge. So hopefully you'll play along with them, share your cards. I just will not be live doing them. So I will be back live next week, Saturday. All right, everybody. Thanks again for joining me. Hope you have a great evening. Happy stamping. Bye.